Crawford is f***ing trash. Don't ever compare Crawford to Canelo again. Shout out young Triple G. He f***ing did his shit. I felt he won. At least a draw. The judges, you weirdos. You guys suck ass. And Crawford, you're not pound for pound. Suck dick. You never fought nobody good. You fought Spence that had a car accident. Fuck you, bitch.
These are the most startling responses from boxing professionals following the fierce bout between Terence Crawford and Israil Madrimov. The well-known promoter Eddie Hearn boldly predicted the conclusion of this fight before it took place. Hearn thought that this particular occurrence will transform Madrimov's career forever and make him famous. He's prepared to defeat Terence Crawford in Los Angeles. This battle makes Israil Madrimov a household name. Earlier this week, Hearn stated on Twitter that although Madrimov entered the fight as the underdog, a knockout victory would have been exactly in line with Hearn's plan. There were rumors about who he would face if he won, but Madam is not interested in such things. "I'm focused on this battle versus Terence Crawford," he declared prior to the bout. "Nothing else crosses my mind. In order for us to discuss everything else, I want to win the fight." Tony Bello had a lot of respect for Israil Madrimov, but he was still certain that the USC boxer who had defeated Errol Spence last summer would lose to Terence Crawford. Crawford's name has been linked to several possible fights, most notably a high-stakes matchup with Canelo Alvarez. Before this bout, Bell expected Madrimov, Crawford's first opponent, to maintain his strong performance. Bell stated, "It would be difficult for me to support Madrimov against most opponents, but Crawford is unique. One of the greatest fighters of his generation is in front of you, and he doesn't appear to be slowing down." You've heard Eddie Hearn boast about Madrimov's exceptional fighting skills and many other remarkable attributes. Crawford is superior to most competitors, so even though he may have some great fight moments, I believe he will prevail once more. Madrimov trainer, Joel Diaz, predicted that he would be a difficult opponent. "It's a really difficult task," Diaz said ProBox TV. Terence Crawford is incredibly well-rounded and the finest boxer in terms of weight. Developing a strategy to defeat him is an honor. We have a terrific fighter and a strong approach. You don't know what to expect with Crawford, and Madrimov is the same way," Diaz went on. "We've got good left-handers and right-handers who are speedy, so we can be prepared since they both dominate their stances from both sides. Plans A, B, and C will be expected against Terence Crawford. We are aware of the opponent we will face when we enter the ring." Diaz said they had a positive outlook before the fight. "I've been completely disciplined," he added. "It won't be simple for Crawford since he makes his opponent uncomfortable. Israil has a lot of confidence. In his championship fight against Israil Crawford, Terence Crawford was expected to win by quick knockout, according to Virgil Ortiz Jr. At 37, his resume was comparable to Adrian Broner's, one of the least remarkable for a multi-division world champion. Crawford has been inactive for a long time, and when he does fight, it's usually against fighters who are past their best, like Sean Porter and Errol Spence, or less formidable opponents, like David Ayana. Simple labor, he was most likely 180, stated instructor as Robert Garcia spars with Virgil Ortiz Jr., he discusses Madrimov with ES News. That's the true reason I believe Crawford will win him over. Crawford is going to beat him in less than 7, and I've been in the ring with him. Virgil Ortiz predicted that Terence Crawford would defeat Madoff in an early knockout. Ortiz and the unbeaten Madoff were at odds after Ortiz made some contentious comments in a recent interview. Virgil Ortiz stated that Madoff incited a torrent of resentment by saying he was only playing with him during their sparring session. Virgil Jr. was not persuaded. He insisted that he was in charge of their entire session. Robert Garcia, his trainer, backed up his assertion by implying that he prevailed in the sparring battle, as though winning and sparring were actual things. For such sparring, do you receive a trophy?
Sparring with Virgil Ortiz, he seemed to be a little apprehensive about what you had said. I don't know if it was lost in translation in the interview, but by chance, did you listen to Virgil's reaction to the sparring?
They asked him about me, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he's a good fighter, and this and that." And it's like, "What do you think of him?" And he was like, "Well, he's a normal boxer, and we went to just play with him or whatever." So I mean, to me, that's how do I say?
Yeah, dissing you, like dissing what
Selection is throwing shade, you know what I mean?
There's nothing to really say. I mean, we had a good sparring. He's very good. He's athletic. He's quick. I was helping him in preparation in his fight.
Although his response to the sparring may come out as a little trivial, Virgil Jr. is using it to build anticipation for his next fight against Serhiy Bohachuk, the WBC interim junior middleweight champion. A poor marketing campaign has made it difficult for the battle to garner public interest. No amount of publicity could pique supporters' curiosity. For far too long, Virgil Jr. has been sidelined due to ongoing health problems. He hasn't got the chance to draw in the boxing world and contribute significantly to sparring since he hasn't faced elite opponents. Even though it seems a little opportunistic, Israil Madrimov might be Virgil Ortiz Jr.'s cunning strategy to attract attention. Let's hope Virgil doesn't make this his go-to career move by bragging about his sparring experiences and attempting to make a name for himself in training camp. Robert Garcia responded to Ellie Spack's assertion that Virgil Ortiz is capable of knocking out T. Crawford by adding, "That's a fight that can happen too." Crawford wins the WBA title, and Virgil takes over as the interim champion. Robert, who wanted Virgil to face WBC junior middleweight champion Sebastian Fondor, stated, "That's the next fight that could happen too, so we go in that direction too." Crawford's former opponent Sean Porter commented on the fight, saying he was confident Bud would easily meet Madoff's challenge. Porter said to DAZN, "This morning was the first time I looked at it. I watched Madoff. It usually takes you a few rounds to see what these men have to offer, in my opinion, Terence. I'm expecting Madoff to confront you. I anticipate that Crawford will produce the stick. I expect him to start the fight orthodox," he continued. "This fight seems like it will be exciting. Although you will have a lot on your plate, I believe you can manage it. You manage it every time. This child was destined to do this." In the end, Bud started his transfer to the super middleweight class by gaining 154 pounds to fight Israil Madrimov, who had won the WBA title from Magomed Kurbanov earlier this year. Bud was determined to fight Saul Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight. In April, he was Bud's first opponent in this new weight class. According to Tim Bradley, Crawford would defeat Madoff in their fight. "No one can defeat Terence Crawford," Bradley said, adding that Crawford defeats anybody he fights in the ring. "Those who were trying to outlive Crawford by waiting for him to age were wrong," he said. Bradley pointed out that 2 weeks before, Crawford had only had a 30-second break between 15 four-minute rounds, 12 with Shakur, and 3 with Shakur's cousin. He pointed out that Crawford's fight was set for August and said he would beat Madoff and his opponent at 54.
Hey, Crawford beats anybody he steps in the ring with. Anybody. He don't go. No one beats. No one beats Terence Crawford. And everybody's trying to age him out. Bro, the dude 2 weeks ago did 15 4-minute rounds. 12 with Shakur, 3 with Shakur's cousin. 4-minute rounds, 30 seconds rest. Think about that. He has a fight when?
August 3rd. So he'll do good at 54.
He gonna crush this dude at 54. What's his name?
Israil Madrimov. He trains with Joel.
He gonna crush.
As noted in a recent piece on ProBox TV, the Hall of Fame fighter-turned-analyst adopted a more cautious viewpoint in another interview. According to Bradley, Terence Crawford's desire to meet Canelo Alvarez is the ultimate objective. He is nearing the end of his career and stated that he just had a few fights left. He wants to make as much money as he can, which is what the Canelo fight is all about. However, you guys stated that Madoff is not an easy process. Terence must first overcome him. Madrimov said that Crawford had been receiving sparring assistance from Andre Ward. He said that while aiding Terence Crawford might benefit him, it might not. We'll find out in the ring if it inspires and supports him. Ball is helping me get ready for the battle, so good for him. There has been little interest in Crawford's training sessions with Andre Ward, 40. Madoff and Ward have somewhat different fighting styles, and the workout video shows that Ward isn't in the best of physical condition. In addition, Madrimov said, "We chose our path." I went on to win several world titles as an amateur boxer since his career was in professional boxing, and mine was in amateur boxing. Given that Madoff fought many top-tier opponents during his lengthy amateur career, he probably has more experience than Crawford, who has a professional record. Numerous bouts against weaker opponents are included in Crawford's professional record, both early and late in his career. Once we got into the pros, we went the hard way, Madrimov continued. We took the difficult route, and all 10 of the fights were challenging. 6 of them were title eliminators, and the competition was fierce. Sure, he's more well-known, but that's my chance before the fight. Crawford reacted forcefully to Eddie Hearn's attempt to antagonize him in a video that reflected on his maiden world title victory over Ricky Burns in Scotland, which Hearn had sponsored. Hearn responded humorously, saying that Crawford still owed him for a hotel breakfast and that the Burns fight should have ended in a draw. Crawford pointed out that he was 3-0 against Hearn, pointing out his undefeated record in fights promoted by Hearn and mentioning his victory over Hearn's top champion. When Hearn made a remark about Crawford's actions before to the Madoff fight, the lighthearted conversation turned serious. Crawford's energy seemed off, and Hearn observed that he was abnormally apprehensive. He was worried about Crawford's performance, suggesting that he might not be taking the fight seriously.
I definitely can't hoop. Well, I can hoop. I'm probably still better than you at hooping as well. But I'm definitely
You ain't better than me in nothing.
Darts.
In talking, that's it.
Talking?
Cause you talking good game. You ain't better than me in nothing.
Darts.
Nothing.
Darts.
Nothing.
Darts.
Today.
You're very nervous today. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I've been here.
Your energy's all off.
I've been here.
I'm worried about you on Saturday.
Last time I
don't think you're taking this fight right.
I'm 3-0 against you, sir.
That doesn't matter.
3-0.
One was against Ricky Burns. You're 135 pounds.
That's your best champion.
Fans and analysts alike were eager to see if Crawford could handle the challenge posed by Madoff's formidable power and skill. And despite the lighthearted banter, it was evident that the mental game was in full force. Crawford, who began his career at 135 pounds, had methodically succeeded in every division leading up to this crucial event. The headline fight also featured an impressive undercard that included 2 exciting heavyweight matchups: Andy Ruiz Jr. vs. Gerald Miller and the promising Jared Anderson vs. Martin Blay.
That's your best champion.
That was your hardest fight.
That's your best champion.
That was your hardest fight.
Why would you disrespect your best champion?
This is going to be your hardest fight, Saturday.
That's your best champion.
Yeah,
Why would
115,
you disrespect
113. Should have been a draw.
Never.
See the scorecards.
See, man, where Ricky at, man? I like Ricky,
So
dude.
do I.
Where Ricky at? Man, you disrespectful.
You robbed him in Scotland.
You disrespectful.
You robbed him in Scotland.
I robbed him.
If you liked this video, be sure to see some of our other ones on the screen.